How's it going, guys? And welcome to Move Well Snacks. I'm your host, Colin McGee, and the idea behind the snacks, along with my podcast, is to give you time, respectful information, like mini podcasts. So something that's really good to hit play while you're cleaning your room, the house, or maybe going for a little grocery run. I'll still be covering hot topics, mainly with myself, and these will supplement the other full episode podcasts that I'll have professional guests on that will speak to those topics in more detail. So today's topic is going to be the principle of load versus capacity and why it's so important to understand when it comes to injury, aches, and pains. What is load versus capacity? It is the idea that there exists a load that is a challenge coming into your body that you must have the capacity to handle. We're going to use a very simple squat analogy for today's mini podcast. Let's say you have a 5-pound dumbbell. You're holding it like a baby, standing up, and I need you to sit down to the couch and stand up with it. The load was 5 pounds plus, your body weight, right? You sat down, you stood up. Nothing bad happened. Your capacity was greater than the load or the challenge to do that task. Now, I give you a 50-pound dumbbell. I ask you to sit down, touch the couch, and come back up. You go to sit down, you come back up, and ouchie, in the knee. Your capacity to handle that 50-pound dumbbell, sit down to the couch, and get up, exercise we'll call it, was less than the load. This equation governs everything that happens with exercise, successful exercise, and injury. Now, this speaks to episode 3 that I recorded with Janelle Warner, an excellent educator and manual therapist and coach. We were talking about active issues requiring active solutions. And I'm just here to talk a little bit more about that because it needs to be said 1,000 times and then 1,000 times more. If your issues are those that are active, like the example that you got your knee hurt while squatting to the couch and getting back up, your solutions, your interventions, the things you need to seek out so that you can do the squat without getting hurt in your knee need to be active as well, at least primarily active. And by primarily, probably 95% of the time. What does this mean? We're going to use a massage therapist session example, right? Massage therapy, like we talked about, fingers, objects, rubbing on skin, muscle, or tissue feels really good. And there's a lot of benefits to it. You might feel better, reduce stress, your perception of pain may go down, but by no means is it going to be a really good intervention to the example we just gave. Now, why? Because it does not influence the load versus capacity equation in our favor. To influence the load versus capacity equation in our favor, we must A, decrease the load, or B, increase the capacity. Our capacity to handle the load. So let's look at the little squat and sit example. 5 pounds for you to sit on the couch and get up, everything went well. 50 pounds for you to sit down on the couch and get up, hurt your knee. How do we influence the equation in our favor here? A, you would reduce the weight to less than 50, or B, we improve the knee and its capacity to handle 50 pounds sitting and standing. The load equation side of the thing, or side of the equation, is pretty simple. You just use less weight, right? The capacity equation is a little more complicated, but that's where resistance training comes in. That's where strength training comes in, personal training, Kinstretch, all these things, is our ability to influence the joint and the body's ability to do things and do whatever you want. So let's go back to, we'll go back to massage in a second. How do we increase our capacity? Because we talked about how we can decrease our load. To increase capacity, basically what we're talking about is getting stronger. To get stronger, your body, the joint, the specific something, has to see a challenge. The challenge must be at a minimum threshold to tell the joint, tissue, or body to adapt, to change in a positive direction so that the challenge in the future, it can handle it. Now, there's a spectrum of doing too little and doing too much, even in this intervention. So, doing too little looks like going for a walk and expecting to run a marathon better. Doing too much looks like going to sprint up a hill when you have pain while walking, right? But there's a happy medium somewhere in the middle that allows you to improve without getting hurt by doing too much and without nothing happening by doing too little. In the science world, we call that about 60 to 70% of that thing's maximal effort, where something less than 60 or 70 is just not enough for it to really adapt and change. And as we get a little higher than 70, we run the risk of doing too much. It doesn't automatically mean it is too much. We just run the risk. So, to influence capacity, you have to have a minimum threshold of challenge in the thing. What does that look like? So, 50-pound dumbbell, we can't really do that. Let's call that our threshold of injury, so we drop it back down. So, training with a 30-pound dumbbell, maybe then a 40-pound dumbbell, so on and so forth, will get us stronger and able to handle that 50-pound dumbbell. Training with a 50 or more would get us hurt, and training with maybe a 5-pound dumbbell is just not enough. It's a simplified scenario, but that is the point. Now let's bring it back to the massage therapy and or any other passive touching technique. This is you rolling with a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball. This is you buying a Theragun or some other buffer tool and making it vibrate on your skin. Those things feel great. I love them because they feel great. But am I ever going to use them to help someone improve their ability to move successively with strength and to mitigate injury? Hell no. Doesn't work. Those things, vibrating into your skin, thumbs into your shoulder, whatever it is, do not make you strong. If I put my thumbs into this example person's knee, rub around a little bit, their perception of pain might go down because of the phenomena of touch and how it relaxes our nervous system. But by no means am I challenging the knee, especially not at 70 or that minimum percentage to make it stronger. So if we are seeking out these interventions, which we tend to classify as passive interventions, for our active issue, you cannot be surprised if you keep getting hurt because you did not influence the load versus capacity equation. Again, the load must go down or your capacity must go up. To influence the load side of the equation, you must follow its principles. To influence the capacity side of the equation, you must follow its principles. Anything outside of those principles are not going to influence capacity, and they're not going to influence load. And if the solution to your problem relies on that equation, it must be in that direction. It doesn't matter how much better you feel after things, because again, the equation is what will determine your injury or success with a task. Thanks again, guys, for listening to this Move Well snack. If you have any questions or concerns or feedback, please let me know. Email me personally at c31mcgee@gmail.com. Find me on Instagram, where I am most active, at liftsmcgee, LIFTSMCGEE. And you can find out more information about me and all of the services on my website, movewellwithmcgee.teachable.com. Thanks again, guys, for listening, and I'll see you guys soon.